Hello, everybody. Yet another week we're doing in the spotlight here for my Facebook page, Let's Get Physical. And this time we're going all the way across the pond it's kind of like the UK connection a little bit, but it's in the spotlight version. Today we got, it's not Joost, it's Joost, right? Joost, say your last name for me.
Heutink.
That's who we got today. So he says he's actually Dutch, but where are you living out in the UK?
In Suffolk.
Okay.
So it's just northeast of London, about 2 hours away from London.
All right, cool. So we're going to see some stuff from a collection in the UK, a little bit outside of London. And Joost, take it away.
Yes, thanks for the invite,
Sure.
Jamie. It's a pleasure. And I've been collecting music for a long time, ever since I was a teenager, I suppose. I had my paper round and I spent all my money on music, but I had to restart a number of times because once as a student, I got burgled and all the music was stolen. I have an impression I know who it was, but never got caught. I had to start all over again. Moved countries, moved to the UK 25 years ago. I lived in Spain for 7 years in between, in small places, big places. Then moved back to the UK, got divorced, unfortunately. But I lived out of a suitcase for a few years as well. And actually, my current collection is probably mostly from the last 5 or 6 years, except for a few items.
Many CDs in a suitcase.
No, indeed. There's a few items that I still have from my original collection. This is probably one of my older ones. I don't know if you can see this like this. This is one of the greatest metal albums of all time, I would say.
That's an original pressing?
It's an original pressing, yes. It's also one of my probably one of my most valuable items in the collection as well, and so it's a lovely.
I'm wondering how many pounds that goes for out in your part of the world.
I don't know. I mean, actually, probably the most valuable one I have is an original mono revolver, which is with the alternative start to Tomorrow Never Knows. So it was changed, I think, on the second pressing.
When did you get that?
Probably gonna. I got this in a shop in Essex, in England as well.
Recently, over the past 10 years.
Yeah. This is from my more recent purchases, indeed. So I got this. This is also the record I spend most on, to be honest. I was quite excited to see that one.
Good shape. Not a lot of surface noise.
It's pretty good shape. Yes, it's pretty good shape. Some of these 60s records, they do keep well, even when there's a little bit of surface damage on it. They still play pretty well when with the old
the needle cuts right through all the visible damage. You can see hairline things and such.
Yeah, it's I would call it near mint, but it's a decent shape. This is the last one I bought. I bought this yesterday, actually. I do regularly buy stuff. This is a unofficial release from Pink Floyd, The Embryo, which is some live recordings from the late 60s. So I haven't actually listened to this one yet. I'll look forward to listening to that one. So I sort of have this curse that's mentioned on the site sometimes about having to expand your collection, whatever it is. And there's plenty of stuff I've got on vinyl as well as on CD. I'm quite partial to vinyl generally, but
half the things I have on vinyl, I probably have on CD too. So
yes,
not half, but close.
One of the best finds as well is this one. I don't know if you recognize the cover. It's British. More recent prog band. I'm quite partial to prog. Most of my collection, I think, if you look at the more collectible stuff, is progressive rock. This is Big Train.
Oh, I know that. Didn't the lead singer recently die?
Yes, he did. David Longdon. He was, an excellent singer, actually. It reminded a little bit of Peter Gabriel.
Yes.
I think at one point when
I streamed one album a few years back. And I actually kind of illegally downloaded it. and put it on my phone. And yes, it's very Peter Gabriel-ish.
Yes, I think he actually tried to be the singer of Genesis when what was it, Calling All Stations? I don't remember exactly who actually sang, but David Longden applied for that job, and I don't know, maybe they thought he sounded too much like Peter Gabriel.
But it would have been more interesting than that bland guy they ended up getting. I forget his name.
Yes, maybe. The big train, I must say, is one of actually most of what I'm showing is primarily European stuff. I thought maybe let's give this a little bit of a European angle. I got lots of American stuff, obviously, as well, and a lot of British stuff as well. I'll show you some British stuff as well, like Big Train. Now, this is a wonderful set. This is a CD collection, which is the English Electric Parts 1 and 2. This is absolutely fantastic stuff from Big Train as well. So check that out. I would recommend. There's a few other stuff. This one is this is Pendragon. Yes, this is one of their more recent releases. Absolutely fantastic neo prog as well.
Written all over it. You know that's a prog album.
Beautiful cover as well. Yes, and yeah, there's a lot happening in prog at the moment. I think it's really revived in the last 10-20 years, I would say. And there's a lot of stuff coming from the UK again, like Arena as well. They're just releasing a new album this year, and I've just ordered their latest one. So this is one that was released probably about 10 years ago. Again, I picked this up in the record store not too long ago.
Dark music, that looks like it might be on the darker side of things.
Arena is a prog. It's quite rocking prog, actually. It's not particularly dark. The cover does suggest that it is a little bit, but it's not particularly. Drifting Sun, this one came out last year. Again, I picked this up actually from the retail, from the website. I think it wasn't a very big release. They signed all the copies themselves. I think it was only a few hundred made of this. Drifting Sun, fantastic band as well, actually. So I really recommend that.
How many record stores do you have in driving distance to you? Like, regular driving distance. You don't have to travel an hour or something.
Well, I do have to travel an hour for some record shops, and I don't mind necessarily. There's a few that are closer by, maybe two in the next. I live in a little village. The next town has one shop, and then a guy who sells records on the market on a Saturday. So one of his customers there. Ipswich has a record shop. Norwich is a good place to go in Norfolk. That's about an hour away. Cambridge has a couple of record shops. So yeah, that's more or less the part of England where I live. It's a little bit rural. I suppose if you live in a city like London, there's lots of choice. But the good thing is as well, if you go a little bit more rural, you could get some good deals sometimes from shops that's, like, for example, that Big Train record. I bought that for 20 quid. And it's probably worth a couple of £100. It's impossible to get. There's just no copies available of it anymore. So
they didn't know what they had.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I bought a few actually from there, and the last record I'll show you is similar to that as well, and that's worth quite a bit of money. And I just picked that up. They just had it there in the shelves for normal retail price, but yeah. So that's the things. The beauty of record collecting and visiting record shops, of course, as well. That you can sometimes find these little gems that you haven't seen before.
Yeah, I do it all the time. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know what it's like in America. I suppose you've got the distances can be quite long between the different places, and whether you have to travel quite far.
We got about 6 record stores all within a couple miles of one another.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, once a year you can buy a ticket and someone charters a bus and they put some booze on the bus and they do a record store hop. And then they end the bus trip at a bar where everyone has drinks and shares what they bought. I've never done it, but people do it. I see it on Facebook all the time.
Well, that's a nice experience.
I'm sure.
Yes. So yeah, and then I'm going over to a little bit more the European angle, and I'm sure everybody knows this band Opeth, one of the greatest bands of the last 25 years, I would say, and I've got several of their albums and several on vinyl and the rest on CD. So this was a limited picture of.
Is that in Swedish, or is that in
English? This is the English version. Yes.
See, when that album came out, I bought it with them speaking Swedish, and I got one when that has a Swedish flag on the vinyl. Then I have them speaking English, and that's a glow in the dark vinyl. And then I bought the CD digipack of both.
Yeah,
all at the same time.
I don't know what it is nowadays. You can buy these special 2 CD editions where one of the discs is instrumental.
Yeah, Heutink does
listen to that once, and that's it.
Yeah,
sorry?
No one listens to the instrumental CD, so cut the price in half and stop all the extra work that's not necessary, and just give us the CD we're going to listen to.
Yes, indeed.
Unless you want to karaoke Heutink, but I doubt that.
Well, Heutink's a good example of that. Indeed.
Yeah.
They always release an instrumental version.
Yeah.
And I bought one, and I was listening. I thought, let's put the CD on, and by mistake, I put on the instrumental version, and I thought,
this is a long intro.
I think it was about 3 songs in, and I thought, probably have the wrong CD, and then I'm playing. Yeah. And then Poland's Finest, Riverside. So that's an absolutely fantastic band. I'm sure most people might know about as well. I
have their 2020 album, and that's it. I should probably dive into their back catalog.
Yeah, the Life in Tilburg is a very good set, actually. And then Love, Fear, and the Time Machine is maybe their best if you're looking at that one. I've got that on vinyl as well.
Okay.
I got this one recently as well, and that brings me back to my youth a little bit. Creator, Coma of Souls.
That's my favorite Creator album.
Mine as well, yes, indeed. Hidden Dictator and all that. I remember that being played in the local disco when some of the rockers came together and took over.
Ah, nice.
I recently completed my Wobbler collection as well. Again, some fantastic European prog. Pete Pardo actually introduced me to them when he was reviewing the latest album of theirs, and I've got them all now on vinyl. They reissued their first 3 albums last year on vinyl, and it's an absolutely wonderful collection, all 5 of them.
I enjoy them when I hear them, and I own nothing. What are you gonna do?
Well, you can't have everything, can you? And then some Italian stuff. Maxophone is an absolutely fantastic album. I think they only released 1 of them. And beauty is, again, a lot of this old 70s stuff is being reissued recently.
Can we see the whole cover? Pan back for a second. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know about that logo, though. That logo looks like somebody drew that on the back of their notebook in 8th grade.
I know, it's not the greatest, is it? But yeah, it's about the music in the end, I suppose.
Yeah.
This is another one I got recently. I visited my my family in the Netherlands, and I ordered all this in Europe because the UK is no longer part of Europe, really, after Brexit. So buying stuff from the continent is quite expensive. You have to buy all the import duties nowadays. So I had it all delivered to my parents' house and picked it up and brought it back in the car. There's some other stuff here. European prog, Nectar, Remember the Future.
I'll be seeing them in 3 weeks.
Really? They're touring now, aren't they? So
they're playing at the Sea of Tranquility Fall Fest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you don't know about that?
Well, it's a bit far to travel for me, unfortunately.
Right. But He's been preaching about it though on his channel and posting stuff.
Yes, yeah, I did hear about that. Another great one at Gong, French, British, I suppose, gone through a lot of different stages. This is one of my favorites, the teapot, flying teapot. Bit psyche,
I have
froggy.
one live album by them, probably like recorded in 71 maybe or something. And I play it at Halloween when I'm handing out trick or treats because it's spooky. It's a spooky live album.
Yeah, I'll finish off on the LP side with some of my Dutch favorites. I should really put a bit of a word in for some of my my Dutch.
Oh, I have that.
Compatriots. Yeah, the Golden Earring, probably the most famous Dutch band ever. Helped that they sang in English. A lot of the great Dutch bands sing in Dutch, so they don't travel very well. A few more on the prog side, Kayak. Some of their early 70s stuff is pretty decent as well. Very melodic, a little progressive pop and rock. I'm sure you know Focus. Again, great Dutch band. Jan Akkerman on guitar.
One of the great
guitar players.
Is that a live album?
No, this isn't. I've got a few of their live albums as well.
Okay.
I've got Life at the Rainbow and I don't know the Hamburger Concerto, whether that's live. I'm not 100% sure. So no, this is their third studio album, double album. So
I have a few, but I don't have that cover. I wonder if that's I don't know. I'm new to
maybe it's released under different titles as well. I know the first record is released in different
For years titles. I only knew Hocus Pocus, for decades, and then I finally dove into their catalog maybe a year and a half ago.
Yeah, well, Jan Akkerman's a great guitar player. Together with Eddie Van Halen, we haven't done bad in the guitar department from Holland, of course.
Right.
So, Earth and Fire. Again, they faded out a little bit, went a bit poppy, but they've got a few records from the 70s.
Is that when Wind left? Is that when?
Sorry?
After Wind left?
Before Wind joined, yes.
Oh, before Wind joined. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's a bit progressive, Mellotron driven. That one and Atlantis, Song of the Marching Children and Atlantis are pretty decent records actually, as far as Dutch prog is concerned, I suppose. This is another Dutch band, Alcuin, a little bit more bluesy rock, as well as some progressive tendencies as well. So this we're checking out as well. Okay. Had a few nice ones, and I told you about the other one I picked up in the record store, Arion. Ian Lucassen. He's done some work with a lot of collaborations. Arion's a great Dutch, origin. This is the Electric Castle. Into the Electric Castle, wonderful stuff as well. So these are some of my European records primarily. As you see behind me, I've got books and DVDs and all that kind of stuff as well. So I thought let's have a quick look at those.
Okay.
Monty Python box set, very British.
Of the entire series, or is that the movies or the TV show?
These are the TV shows. I've got DVDs of the movies as well, like Life of Brian and now for something completely different. And
it's got the wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Know what I mean? Know what I mean?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, not everything is funny that they do, but
no, it's not. I didn't know if you have to be British to get it or like get all of it.
Yes, and then some great European cinema. This one's a classic French one, like Règle Jeu. Typically French, actually. Another French one, The Horseman on the Roof with a very young Juliette Binoche, which isn't a bad thing. Absolutely gorgeous movie set in the Middle Ages. I don't know whether I can promote Russian cinema nowadays. This one's absolutely beautiful. Mirror, Andrei Tarkovsky. beautiful movie. This is one of the most beautifully shot movies ever, I would say.
I think if we still talk about
cinematography.
Polanski movies, we could talk about Russian movies.
Well, I'm sure the director had nothing to do with any of this. Some classic German cinema,
One.
Fritz Lang. And this last one I wanted to show because you did this show recently with the movies that were hardest to watch.
Most disturbing.
And I thought this one certainly fits into that, because a lot of the movies that you mentioned were, I mean, you came up with some great ones actually as well. But a lot of the ones that were mentioned were just imagination, I suppose. This one is an actual account of the Wannsee Conference, where the Nazis came with some of the top Nazis and SS officers came together and discussed what they were going to do about all the Jews in Europe. And this is absolutely, well, spine tingling when you watch this, given that this actually happened. I mean, there's some great acting in this as well, Stanley Tucci and Kenneth Branagh particularly. But, you know, you watch this and you think, goodness, you know, the humanity of it. And, you know, that's why I thought this is also one of those movies. I certainly recommend that everybody watches this, to be honest. It's, as a document, very, very powerful, I think. So I thought I'd mention that one as well, given your recent show. And I've got some music DVDs, not that many. I mean, Marillion and the Flower Kings here. So yeah, I've got. And then obviously,
is that live?
It's the recital of the script. So it's from the Fish era, back in the 80s. Some of their stuff from the first two albums, primarily. So some lovely stuff on there. And let's see, a few CDs. This one is probably my most expensive CD that I ever bought. Difficult to get hold of. Anglergard, Scandinavian prog from the 90s. This is absolutely beautiful, bit Genesis-like, early Genesis-like. This is their first, and this is their second album. So it's, I don't know if you've heard of them, Anglergard. They're worth checking out as well.
All right.
And
expensive because it's rare.
Yeah, it's rare. And I'd heard the music because you can download it or watch it on YouTube, etc. But I didn't have the CDs, and that first one I probably spent about 60 quid on. So for a CD, I think that's quite a bit.
I don't know how much that is in American dollars, but
well, nowadays not that much more, but it's probably about $80.
Okay, that's a lot for a CD.
For a CD, it is quite a bit, but then I thought it's worth having. Some things are worth having. It doesn't matter necessarily how much to spend. And I got this one recently, Genesis Archive. It contains the full Lamb Lies Down on Broadway live, as well as Supper's Ready live, and it's absolutely wonderful 4 CD collection. So that's worth having as well. And another box set I'm quite pleased with, Barclay James Harvest. Again, I don't know how familiar Americans are with Barclay James Harvest. It's a little bit like Moody Blues.
This American knows nothing, but I'm not speaking for all Americans.
It's a bit like the Moody Blues, I suppose. They even did a song called "Poor Man's Moody Blues" as a bit of a joke, but that's quite a good song actually. It sounds a bit like Nights in White Satin.
Okay.
So I'd like playing sometimes. So I've got a few books on for the piano. I'm not going to play anything now, but I'm not fantastic, to be honest.
There's a guy I never got or understood.
Tom Waits, really? Well,
and I'm standing against a post, smoking a cigarette. Oh, that's awesome.
Well, some of his piano playing is quite good. I think you probably have to admit. And then some of the books, I do like reading, though mostly nowadays I go to the library. This is a fantastic book by a Dutch author, Discovery of Heaven by Harry Mulisch. This is all European again. Count of Monte Cristo, one of my favorite books. It took me a while to get through that, but a good one. Brothers Karamazov, from Dostoevsky. If you like some conspiracy theories, Umberto Eco. I don't know if that's an author that who's very familiar with in the States either, but it takes a while to get through them. It's quite a big book as well.
Big one. I'd never get through that one.
No. So that was that was pretty much a little bit of a show and tell, I suppose, from what I've got.
That's what this show's about. You show, you're spitting. Tell us what it's about.
Yeah, most of this stuff I got in the last 5 years or so, except for that Sepultura album to begin with.
Right.
It's a bit of a shame. I got some old Rolling Stones records from my dad, who was a Stones fan in the 60s, and they got lost somewhere along the way.
Were they mono?
Yeah, so yeah, some of the original ones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a stinker. Yeah, I'd be having nightmares about losing that stuff all the time. Yeah, because I've never lost much of anything since I've been buying when I was 12 years old. So
yeah, that's maybe
right.
around the time when I started as well. But it's just not been easy to keep all the things when you get burgled for one. That was a bit of a kick in the teeth. I'd been working for years to try and get some CDs and albums together, and they were gone. No insurance.
That would break my heart. Like a fire would break my heart. Yeah, I don't know if I could live on. I just don't know. Too many decades of collecting stuff for it to just all go at once. So, yeah, I can't.
Yes.
But see how fast that went? We went just about 30 minutes. Just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you get rolling.
I did say let's not make it too long, and people aren't going to want to watch 30 minutes of me. But well, hopefully there's a few nice ideas in there for somebody. In any case, I think that's always the nice thing about watching these videos, to see what other people have and whether you might be interested in getting something like that. So anybody on the channel or on the Facebook page, just drop me a line if you're interested in anything in particular. And it's a great page actually, and I think the nice thing about it is as well that you've got a bit of interaction with the members, between the members. Somebody posts something and you get a bit of a back and forth, don't you? So fantastic stuff.
Sometimes I wish there'd be a little bit more mix up in the genres. Sometimes I feel the weight and I gotta throw in some country or some pop or something just to mix things up. Curveballs here.
I should have shown the Cyndi Lauper album I got recently then, shouldn't I?
She's So Unusual, or True Colors, or Hat Full of Stars.
She's So Unusual, indeed. I mean, that's the one you don't see that often. And I picked that up in a little antique shop, and they had a little box of vinyl records. And I saw that one.
I bought my copy of that album probably about 6 years ago for $1.
Wow.
One American dollar, yeah.
Wow.
All right, Joost.
Good.
It was great talking to you, man. And again, if you want to join this show, comment below. Even hit me up with a message, and I'll fit you in somehow. This is the second one I post or that I taped this week. This one will go up the following week. So again, great having you on. I'm glad that you got to show a lot of cool stuff that we don't see here in the States. So everybody, take care, have a good one. And if you're watching this and you don't belong to Let's Get Physical on Facebook, join. It's fun. Like he says, we're all interacting, we're all showing our shit and talking about it and having a good time. So until the next one, goodbye everyone.